What's up, everybody? We are the football dudes. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, bro?
Green 18. Yeah. Okay, let's give it a go.
All right. You've just crossed over into the trend zone. It is Wednesday, September 25th, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Beautiful 68 degrees, Dave. Fall has begun, baby. Triple digits, gonzo. Starting to get
Yeah,
into sweaters and jackets.
that's
I had to
right.
wear socks today.
Holy moly. It's outrageous.
Yeah, these winter storms. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
Oh man, in today's episode, we're going to talk a little Survivor, a little fantasy, going to run you through some injuries, a couple names on there, get you wondering a little bit. And of course, we will go through all of the awesome games from the upcoming week. But Dave, before we get to all that, this is what the people want. Tell me you got a tasty nug for the peoples.
Well, Casey, I'm going to have to be a little disappointing here to start things off. This one's not so tasty a nug. It concerns the 0-3 teams.
Oh no.
And yeah, the odds of the 0-3 teams making the playoffs dating back to 1990, just 4 of 158 teams to start 0-3 made the postseason. That's 2.5%. Just 2 of those teams won their division. That's less than 1.5%, and none of them went to the Super Bowl.
So who is 0-3 right now?
That would be just 3 AFC squads: Cincinnati, Tennessee, and Jacksonville. Surprising.
All right, let's get to the bizarro world side of that. These people will be struggling over there, but in our world, they're kicking butt and undefeated.
Yeah, the 3-0 teams are in a whole different world. This is the dank nug that the people clamor for, Casey. And I'll tell you
Yes.
what, 76%, that's the number there, according to NFL football operations. 76% of 3-0 squads go on to make the playoffs. If a team goes to 4-0, of course, that's heading into next week. If they can get that fourth win, that number rises to 85%. But if it falls to 3-1, it just drops to 67%. So where you're sitting right there at 3-0, you're pretty strong at 76%. Even a loss, and still 2 out of 3 of those teams are playoff bound.
Man, 3-1 is so much better than 2-2.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Seems exponentially better. Oh man, just want a quick reminder, the Trend Zone is available for subscription on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast.
Let
All
me
right,
swing back real quick, Casey, because
sure.
just want to mention to the people to credit. It is the Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, Minnesota Vikings, and Seattle Seahawks. The teams sitting pretty at 3-0.
Vikings, the only team nobody was talking about in that division,
Wow.
undefeated, and they've got a big game coming up. Oh, we will get to that in just a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit.
Seattle in a pretty tough division too, sitting on top of it.
Mm-hmm. And the Niners taking that loss to LA last week. Oh man, it is going to be wild and woolly. Dave, but some of these teams are going to have to do it without some of their star players. Injury bug running through the league.
Yeah, let's get it started with Justin Herbert. He re-injured the high ankle sprain last week. He couldn't finish the football game. Also, uh, Tua, of course, has been sidelined with the concussion. His backup, Skylar Thompson, got a rib injury. No telling whether or not he'll be able to go. If not, it'll be Tim Boyle or Tyler Huntley, who they recently signed off the Baltimore practice squad.
Yeah, I got to see Huntley in that game. I don't need to see Boyle there. And Dave, we saw this cat take a huge hit
Yeah,
against the Saints.
brutal, but this didn't get anybody suspended. But Devontae Smith takes a gnarly hit and he is concussed. He is out of practice. And that one obviously is in the concussion protocol. So we just have to see. There's no telling how long that takes, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, whatever that be. Speaking of wide receiver position, Casey, Adam Thielen with a hammy, and an older guy like that maybe takes a little more time to get that hammy right. Projecting a week 7 return for him. Tank Dell also banged up in multiple ways, a hand/wrist going on with him, as well as some ribs that are giving him some trouble. So likely to sit out at least week 4.
And then a running back. Of course, these guys are going to be fine and healthy for the game next week, I'm assuming.
Right. These ones, both Steelers backs, don't appear to be significantly injured. Najee Harris did have his arm in a sling. He's got a shoulder, but they're expecting him to play. Jalen Warren, a little more of an issue there with that knee. And I don't think there's any word yet until the injury reports are released there on that one. But he did have an MRI.
And then about
Also, at the running back position, I forgot to mention Austin Eckler takes a gnarly concussion there too. Took himself out of the game ASAP, and he is in the concussion protocol as well. So he, I believe, has already been ruled out for this week.
yeah, that's about the only thing that went wrong in that Monday night game for the Commandos.
Yep.
And then at tight end, Sam Laporta and Trey McBride. Nothing serious there. All McBride with the concussion, so you don't know. But hopefully these aren't injuries that are going to keep these guys out very long. But Dave, an injury for a guy that was just questionable right up to game time and then out now on a IR and now is going to get some strudel.
Yeah, right.
Some
Exactly. A little apple
lederhosen.
strudel there. Yeah, he's probably wearing his lederhosens there on his way to Germany. It's Christian McCaffrey. He's going to have that Achilles checked out by some sort of specialist over there. Who knows what they're going to do that they can't do in the good old U.S. of A. But maybe they'll apply some interesting old school, uh, type of, I don't know, not or highly advanced stuff. Who knows what they're
Yeah.
going to do?
We,
Hopefully, the damn Achilles is suddenly better. I'll go for that.
how
Since
long's
he's
it
my
been since you
fantasy
had the
guy.
number one pick in the draft? It's been years. And you finally got it.
Yeah.
They did you dirty though. They didn't tell anybody what the real status was.
It was a little bit sketchy there, to
Mhm.
say the least. And we'll get to my fantasy team later and the grievances therein. But yeah, we'll save that one for another segment, not too far away.
All right. Well, speaking of fantasy, it
Yeah.
is time for Total Fantasy Domination, Dave. Give me a quarterback.
Dude, this dude is on an MVP style tear. It's Josh Allen's, man. Josh Allen for the Bills, dude. 263 pass yards, 4 pass touchdowns, 44 rush yards. He's just been tearing it up.
Speaking of tearing it up, dude, Saquon Barkley for the Eagles, 147 rush yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner late in that thing. I think he only had 1 touchdown, but we'll call it 2, whatever it is.
Yeah,
But he
I think
did
so.
break off that run.
Huge run.
Yeah. What about wide receiver? Didn't we tell people to pick this guy up last
I
week?
think you did.
No.
I wish I would have followed your advice. It's Juwan Jennings for the 49ers, and he certainly is outshadowing all of the other offensive players there. What an insane game. 175 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns for Juwan Jennings.
Thank God they paid Brandon Ayuk all that money.
Yeesh.
And then at tight end is Dallas Goedert. The Goedert, 170 yards, including that Malachi crunch on the Saints defenders to break him out at the end of that game and steal that victory for those dirty, dirty Eagles.
Yep. Huge play.
Ugh, gross. All right, Dave, this is time for the Go Back Fantasy Start of the Week. If you could go back to last week and change your lineup, would you, could you, and should you have won?
No, KC. No. I thought I was going to lose by 30, so it was respectable when I found out it was just 27.5 points that I got clobbered by. But unfortunately, my team is a mash unit, to say the least. My go back would be to go back and, with my number one overall pick a team that is not sucking due to injury. Because my first and second pick, it's McCaffrey. He hasn't played it down. I got Cooper Kupp. He made it through one game and about a quarter of a second game, and he hasn't seen the field since then. My third round pick, here it is. Here's is A-Chain. He's pretty good. He's been one of my saviors. Ayuk, man, Ayuk has practically nothing. I would take that Jennings output for the whole season if I could, instead of what Ayuk has done for me this year so far. Let's see, Mr. Ayuk. He's got me 11.9 over 3 games. All right. My next pick, Neighbors. Hell of a pick there. Pretty stoked on that. What was I thinking taking Mark Andrews with my 7th pick? 6.5 points on the season. He doesn't. He's the 3rd best tight end. And if they had a offensive tackle that caught the football, he'd be their 3rd best tight end. I'll tell you what. Addison, another guy on hasn't played yet. Maybe did he play the first game for a couple of snaps?
I don't think
Three and
so.
a half on the season.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Other than that, though, great squad. I do
You
have
got a
the
cat
Steelers
burglar.
defense. Yeah, I know. Cats are going nuts over here. All right. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. Enough about my fantasy woes. I'm still just 1-2. I've still got a chance.
Oh. Well, in our league, there was nothing I could have done. I fall from the undefeateds down to 2-1. But in my other league, which everybody cares about, I benched Dak for Baker Mayfield, but there was a method to my madness. I was trying to jumpstart his season, which it did. And if I would have played Dak instead of Baker, I would have netted another 25 points. And played scary Terry McLaurin instead of Jackson Smith and Jigba, that would have given me the points to go over the top. In that league, 0-3.
Brutal.
Brutes.
Brutal. I just got my first win in the other league in dominant fashion, but nobody cares about the other league.
No,
Casey.
nobody cares about the other league. No. All right, let's go ahead and get into this one. We're running out of strikes, Dave. It is 3 strikes. It's not going so well for me.
This was an amazing week with the 4 most popular picks all going down. The 3 of us watching football together each had a different pick. And we're each asking each other why they made that selection. And I'll tell you what, we were all wrong. Number 1 biggest pick that was most popular incorrect, Tampa Bay over Denver. Obviously, Denver destroyed Tampa Bay. That took more than 30% of people. Las Vegas beating Carolina. Of course, Carolina with infusion at quarterback. Almost 25% of people were on that one, took that loss. Cleveland and the Giants. The Giants took care of business there. That was 13.5% of the people. Wow. And then, of course, that Cincinnati-Washington game where we expected Cincinnati to get a W, and 10% people took that one. All in all, over 59% of the people lost, having picked one of those 4.
Wow. And then our league, I think everybody's got 2 strikes. I don't think, and there's a bunch of dead people already.
Oh my God. It's just absolute annihilation in the survival leagues.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and tell me who's going to kill me this week.
Right. Okay. So there are some popular picks. It is San Francisco over New England. That's more than 32%, nearly 33%. Dallas over the Giants, with over 15%, and the Jets to beat Denver, nearly 14%. That one, I don't know. The Denver looked pretty good last week. So,
yeah. Well, going into last week, I thought they were going to, lose, and they didn't. So,
yes,
it's the NFL, though, baby. We love it. It's the Survivor's tricky because you don't want to burn up your good teams, but
I wasn't using any strategy. Let's just be honest.
That's the best way to do it, I think, because I'm thinking about it, and so far, it's not working.
Right.
Dave, the hell with all that stuff. Let's get into the real. It is week 4.
Week 4?
Yeah, week 4.
Oh, dude, it's slipping away. Slipping away, man.
We're already through a quarter of the season. Oh my God. Brutal.
Oh my goodness. Holy moly. Wow.
Thursday night, Dave, get us going.
All right, we'll do Thursday night football. You don't have to wait long for your boys to get a chance to rebound, Casey. And they're heading to New York to play the Giants. Cowboys on the road are favored by 4.5. This divisional rival, this is going to be an important ballgame.
Yeah, and the last couple of weeks, the Cowboys have given up something crazy, like 500 yards rushing. I know what my plan, if I were the Giants, would be, is to run that damn football.
Yep.
And that game looked so bad for at least 3 quarters. Hopefully it was enough is enough, and the 4th quarter is who they're going to start being defensively, hopefully, because it's just been awful. They've getting blown off the line. They're not stopping the run. They're giving up a ton. But offense, we're working in 2 new rookies on the offensive line. The teams don't play in the preseason. Hopefully they'll start gelling. And, this is the time when I think you start seeing what the teams are. So my hope is they can still put it together. But, dude, after this week, It's Pittsburgh, it's Detroit, bye week, and then San Francisco. So you better beat these damn Giants. Otherwise, I don't, it could be
That is a
bad.
tough road to travel, man.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have the Los Angeles Rams, our Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. And the Bears are 3-point favorites in this one.
Interesting, but I guess when you think about the Rams, getting just their first win of the season last week, it was an impressive win beating down the 49ers despite being down a ton of O linemen.
Dude, and I was a sea of red at the SoFi. An
Yeah, we saw it.
embarrassment. Oh
We
my
heard it.
God.
We
Yeah.
heard it. They didn't have their O linemen. They didn't have their top two receivers, Cup and Nakua. They kept it going, kept it alive. And can they really keep this going one more week and sort of wait and get this thing stabilized while they get their guys back? Obviously, they're going to get reinforcements. Tough road battle against these Bears on the road, but the Bears haven't shown us a lot. Lost last week on the road to the Colts to drop to 1-2. Their only win was that gift in week 1 from the Titans. There was mistake laden Titans performance. Caleb did throw his first 2 touchdown pass last week, but also 2 picks, which he's been, handing the ball back to the other team a lot. But last week, 52 passes, 363 yards. But hello, I mean, that is
Much.
not a recipe for success for any rookie quarterback, even any quarterback, for crying out loud. 52 passes, way too many. So can Caleb Williams put together a mistake-free game, take advantage of that Rams team that's totally banged up? So far, the offensive of the Bears has been able to do hardly anything. They're 30th in
Yeah.
total offense, 31st in running.
Then Keenan got back to practice this week.
That's
So
good.
getting him back would be a huge deal for this Bears squad. And hey, Caleb, look for Cole Kmet. Don't run around 50 yards and hug it downfield. Take the gimmies. That's how you live in the NFL.
Yeah, tight end is the best friend,
Mhm.
right, of a young quarterback. All right, up next, Casey, it's the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets, and the Jets at home are favored by 7. Give us some info on this game.
Yeah, Broncos go into Tampa Bay and get the win. Bo Nix played pretty good. That defense was very solid as well. And McLaughlin was the running back instead of Javante last week that kind of got everything going. But you flip it over to these Jets, and it looked like some of that rust is coming off. We saw a lot of Aaron Rodgers. His mobility is back, starting to heat up with those guys. Obviously, with Lazard, Garrett Wilson. But, dude, I think Mike Williams is going to be the key to this offense because Aaron Rodgers knows how to use that catch radius, throw it where only he's going to get it. Obviously, with Allen and Brees Hall back there at running back, this team is stocked, and I think they're picking up steam. And hey, what's the best way to hide your bad run defense? Is keep Aaron Rodgers on the field on offense.
That's right. No doubt about it. And if they can put a bunch of points on the board, they'll put the pressure on that Broncos squad to match those points. And that will be a challenge for the young quarterback to get. And last week was a pretty nice performance out of Bo Nix, but he's made some mistakes along the way so far this year. So they'd like to try and force those mistakes and let their pass defense, the Jets, make its impact.
All right, up next, it's a rematch from an NFC playoff game last year. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Bucks, and those Eagles are 2.5-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, no doubt. This is going to be a huge matchup here. Eagles on the road. They stole a win last week. Did basically nothing until early in the fourth with that 65-yard run you talked about by Saquon that got him into the fantasy domination category. Still, they gave up the lead with just over 2 minutes left and needed a huge 65-yard catch from Dallas Goedert that got him into the fantasy column there. That's how they got that W. So they stole it away right there late. Didn't really hit the offense button until with about 13 and a half minutes left. And it was really just 2 big plays, right? The stat sheet looked pretty good, though, with Hurts throwing for 311, Barkley running for 147, and Goddard for 170. But I think still a lot of issues to work out. And the Bucs have been playing well despite last week's effort for that team.
Yeah, last week was kind of the first little bit of adversity we've seen the Bucks run into, and so far on the young season, dude, Baker's been outstanding.
Yeah.
Not great last week, but him and Chris Godwin are really finding something together there. So, Baker and Evans already have it going, working Chris Godwin in there. And K. Dotton with a critical fumble in that game, just a little bit sloppy. But who I love on this team, dude, Bucky Irving is earning more touches for this squad. Rashad White is great too, but I love what Bucky Irving brings to the table. So need to get a bounce back game. The Bucks demolished the Eagles last year in the playoffs.
Yep.
Eagles want a little revenge. Bucks a little fired up after how it went down last week against those Buncos.
Yeah, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin listed as limited in practice for the Bucks today, so hopefully they're good to go.
They're fine. They're just old. All right, up next, Dave, we got the Cincinnati, a little cap battle and a little Red Rocket battle.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals at the Carolina Panthers, and the Bengals are 5-point favorites on the road.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, the Bengals were surpriser. They're a surprise 0-3 team, no question. They haven't been good in the beginning of the seasons. That's not a surprise, but dropping that third game there to go to 0-3, losing to the Commanders on Monday Night Football, that's as shocking as any team start in the league this year. They played pretty good last week too, but they ran into a hot shot rookie quarterback there that had an absolutely spectacular game for the Commanders, and they came up just a little bit short there. They cannot lose another one this week or anytime soon, really, if they want to try and claw their way back into it. See, I did that there.
I love it.
But the Panthers on the other side benched last year's first overall selection, Bryce Young, heading into last week in favor of course, you mentioned Andy Dalton, and they ended up getting their first W of the season, beating the Raiders, and they took care of business there. They look like a significantly better team, like literally a different team for the veteran signal caller there. Can they get the second straight win at home against a desperate Bengals team? That'll be something that we will have to wait and see.
And they're talking about the rookie running back Brooks out of Texas getting a little bit close. He's, this will be week 4.
Wow.
We'll see if he's already back from that ACL. Holy smokes, at another dimension. But Chuba was great last week either way. So
he was very strong.
Yeah, good performance. Whoa, an 0-4 Bengals team. Holy smokes.
Wow. It's hard to imagine at this point. They would certainly be buried. Only one 0-4 team, I believe, has ever made the playoffs. Anyways, moving right along. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2-point favorites on the road as they head towards Indianapolis to play the Colts. What have you got for us?
I'll take those 2 points all day long with the Steelers, dude. Justin Fields last week, the best game we've seen as a pro. Not necessarily running. He ran when he needed to, but the precision of the passing was so much better than we've seen it. Yeah, all of it. It's like, oh, man, this guy is starting to play quarterback, and now he's on a great team. The commitment to building the offensive line, we mentioned it earlier, the running back's a little banged up there, but a lot of ways that these Steelers can hurt you. Of course, on the other side of the ball, TJ Watt, just incredible. These Colts dropped one to Green Bay a couple weeks ago, got the win last week, so it's going to be tough for these Colts with the Steelers defense coming there. Anthony Richardson's going to get a little taste of what's coming up with that defense. So it's going to be tough. Can the Steelers remain undefeated?
Probably. Yeah, and I think Arthur Smith's impact there on the quarterback, Justin Fields, might be one of the hidden factors to Fields just sort of emerging sort of more as an actual complete quarterback that also can run.
Yeah, maybe Smith is finding his niche as an OC instead of a head coach.
Yeah.
Always looked out of his league when he was head coach.
Little
OC,
bit.
looking
but man,
good.
That Steelers defense, look out, baby. They're mean.
That helps.
All right, moving forward, Casey, it is the Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. Packers at home, favored by 2.5. Interesting.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how the Vikings aren't favored in this one. They're undefeated, if I remember correctly. Sam Darnold's playing some pretty damn good football there. We love to see it. We've been rooting for this guy since he was at, Southern Cal, and people struggle when they go to the Jets. That's just kind of what happens. He's gotten a chance to learn, and The good thing was when he left the Jets, we're like, okay, this guy isn't broken. Sometimes you can go in such a bad situation that you develop these awful habits.
Mhm.
He's being
Or your
smart with the
body's
football.
destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, his confidence didn't get taken from him there. And now you can just turn it around and hand it to Aaron Jones if you want, which is a great fit for these guys. Justin Jefferson, we keep talking about TJ Hawkinson's not back yet, but the defense of these Vikings has been incredible too. So, grimy divisional matchup. Aaron Jones going back to Lambeau. I'm not sure if Love is going to be back for this one, but I was stoked for Malik last week the way he played against his former team, the Titans.
Yeah, and speaking of this uh pack team, they're 2-1, dude. That's 2 wins with Malik Willis at quarterback, defeating his old team last
What
week.
you
The
talking
Titans did.
about, Dave?
Yeah, right. And hey, he was impressive last week. He had an efficient game, 13 of 19, 202, a touchdown, a passer rating of 120.9. So he also ran the ball 6 times for 73 yards and another touchdown there. I'm not saying there's a quarterback controversy here, but maybe they feel like, hey, let's let Jordan Love rest that
Yeah.
sprained MCL. I mean, obviously, this is a huge divisional
Mm-hmm.
rival, and setting the tone here with this game for the Packers to get this W is crucial. But um, it's a long season, and Jordan Love's MCL healing for one more week wouldn't hurt these guys, especially the way Malik Willis has played here. And he's a backup, but hey, they're going against a backup technically too. So both these quarterbacks for this team, backups, but playing exceptionally well right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Up next, we got another sweet NFC divisional game. It's the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons are 1-point favorites in this one.
Interesting. Again, you know what? The Saints were the highest scoring team in the league after 2 weeks and they were undefeated. But then last week, they squandered away a game that they certainly could, if not should, have won, really giving up just 2 huge plays, like we mentioned, against the Eagles late there. Felt like, though, when they took the lead with 2 minutes left, they were about ready to slam the door on that. But they looked to rebound against the Falcons, who fall to 1-2 last week after losing to the Chiefs. No shame there. But they failed to convert, though, on a 4th and inches just outside the 10, 12-yard line, somewhere in there, running horizontally. I thought, I hate that call. You just need an inch or two to move the chains, and then you've got a chance to finish off the Chiefs and get an impressive win. Unfortunately, basically their only win is a game they stole in week 2 against the Eagles. So this stacks up to be a huge divisional game early in the season.
Yeah, but also if the ATL gets that blatant pass interference late on Pitts, 1st and goal at the 1, we're running some time off. We're punching in with
Are you
Bijan.
saying that the Chiefs got away with something? Because I don't know what you're talking about, Casey.
That never happens, Dave.
Never.
Should we keep divisional games going?
Yes, I think it's a good
Okay.
idea. We'll move it along, Casey. This one, whew, featuring a very desperate Jacksonville team. The Jaguars head to Houston to play the Texans. Texans at home are favored by 4.5. Texans coming off of their own disappointment as well.
Yeah, they got that beat down on the road there against Minnesota. It's a little bit different when you're the hunted. We're not seeing them sneak up on anybody this year. Still a very
Right.
talented team,
Sure.
but everybody's paying attention when the Texans are on the schedule now. And this is a home game there, so it is going to be rocking. But these Jags, dude, I don't want to I would be so frustrated if I was a Jacksonville fan because we keep hearing that it's right around the corner, and it's just not yet. They have a lot of talent there, but
Tons of
dude,
talent.
that was an ass kicking on Monday night, dude. That was one where you're like, okay, maybe we don't play the fourth quarter of this game because it
Yeah,
was
with a running
awful.
clock or something. I mean, that
Yeah.
that almost felt like it counted like a loss and a half or something. It was so
So
devastating.
yeah, they searching for answers there. Obviously, nothing's happened yet. Remember, I think it was week 10 last year when they were playing the Chiefs with a chance to get into that number 1
Yeah,
seed.
yeah.
And since then, it's just been a
They were
plummet,
eight
dude.
and three, I believe, at that point, and since then they've just they've been a disaster.
Yeah, they got to figure it out, dude, because what's going on so far is not good. And at this rate, Peterson won't make it through the end of the season. But you know, get
Yeah,
right, beat your divisional foe, and then the sky looks much bluer.
yeah. What a difference a week could make for these guys if they can
That's
put it
right.
together.
All right, Dave, up next, we have the New England Patriots at the San Francisco 49ers. And despite all those Niners injuries, they're still 10-point favorites at home.
Yeah, and the Patriots have been, better than we thought they'd be, but that's not saying all that much necessarily. As they were projected to be not very good, but they did beat the Bengals in Week 1. They lost to the Seahawks in Week 2, and then they were dominated by the Jets last week to drop to 1-2. We did get a Drake May sighting, which was interesting, but at 4 for 8 for 22 yards. I'd suggest he needs a little more time to get out there and be actually an effective quarterback. Next up, of course, this trip to San Francisco to face an angry Niners team. Why so angry, Niners? Well, how about dropping to 1-2, giving away last week's game to division rivals, a beat up Rams team. And yes, the Niners are banged up too with McCaffrey out, but letting last week's game slip away, very uncharacteristic of that team. Such a strong defense, a solid team. They have got to go out and dominate the Pats this week and get back on track.
Yeah, and they just kind of got to tread water. I mean, if they can figure out a way to get this win without McCaffrey, without Debo, trying to figure all the rest out.
Yep.
I don't know if Kittle's even going to play in this one. So
Wow.
um, we'll see what happens there. But they should have plenty to beat those Patriots. I think they got Mason, right? Holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's been an absolute gem for them at the running back position. Okay. Moving along, Casey. It is the Washington Commanders at the Arizona Cardinals in what's Cardinals at home at 5.5-point favorites. But this is suddenly a very exciting football game.
Yeah, I mean, it's too early to talk about Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, right? How that went down in the
Yeah.
draft because Jaden Daniels, number 2. But Dave, what obviously we saw how magical this guy was. If you followed college football like we do, you saw this guy do it at LSU and Arizona State. But I don't think anybody anticipated 21 to 23, 254, 2 tutties,
Yeah.
throwing another 40 rush yards. But it was that last pass to Terry McLaurin where he takes a helmet to the chin, just drops it in there perfectly. So I knew it was bad news when this franchise got rid of Dan Snyder. That was my ace in the hole that I knew nothing would ever work out because that guy was such a piece of crap. Now that he's gone, I'm a little bit worried.
And the
They've got
bad
some,
karma goes with him now.
yeah, it's good energy there. So, but they're going to play a tricky team in the desert too. These Arizona Cardinals, man, they have a lot of weapons too.
Yeah, I like how Washington towards the end of that game went for the kill shot and they got it. The first time they went for the kill shot, it didn't work, but then they went back to it the next possession. All right, moving over to the Cardinals though. Yeah, they seem to be a little more exciting than the 1-2 record would suggest. But coming off that loss to the Lions, where Kyler Murray did not play his best game, and other than Murray running for 45 yards, the rest of the team only gained 32 yards, so they could
Ooh.
not run the ball. They were one-dimensional and defensively unable to slow down the Lions last week. Washington wasn't great rushing last week either, so maybe they don't have to pay, for not being very effective at stopping the run, this Cardinals team. But anyway, slice it. This could be a super exciting game between two of the most mobile, electric quarterbacks
Mhm.
in the league right now. They're both, very exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun game. And Cliff Kingsbury wants to come back and show those Cardinals that they fired him unjustly.
Yes. All right, moving along. It is the Cleveland Browns at the Las Vegas
Ugh.
Raiders. Raiders at home favored by 1 in this one.
Dave, true or false? The most rated thing ever is to come back and beat the Ravens and then chase that down with losing to the Panthers.
That does sound very Raider-esque.
So Raider-esque, man, and it's a nonstop thing with those guys. But the Death Roomba should be rocking there, and
Yep.
Cleveland, it's all bad there, dude. I mean, Deshaun, despite what we think of him on the field, is basically the equivalent. It's not been good. I know they have injuries or whatnot, but nobody cares in the NFL. But
Yeah.
um, it's just all bad in Cleveland. So Raiders, see if you can come back and beat these stupid Browns.
Yeah. I hate to root for the Brownies, but this is my week.
Yeah. We've all been there. Gross. It was me last week. Ugh, it feels disgusting. All right, up next, we have some great divisional games this week. It is the Kansas City Chiefs at your Los Angeles
You
Chargers.
took you got off the bandwagon, huh?
Yeah.
After last
Oh,
week. Yeah, obviously the Chargers coming off, they were 2-0 coming off that beatdown against the Steelers. It wasn't really a beatdown though, but as the game unfolded, the Chargers got banged up big time. Herbert obviously went into that game with the high ankle sprain and was unable to finish. He got knocked out, I don't know, midway through the third or something. And at that point, it was tied 10-10. It was anybody's ball game. But unfortunately, the injuries kept piling up as Rashawn Slater strained his pec, and near the end of the game, Joe Alt had a sprained MCL. Neither of those guys expected to play, although Herbert says he feels better this week right now than he did last week at this time. With the bye on the horizon, because week 5 is the Chargers bye,
oh
and
yeah.
this game on the road against the Chiefs without your two offensive tackle bookends. So we're going to be doing a makeshift line. I don't know how much you want to put Herbert at risk there. Um, on the other side, the Chargers defense has been good, but they did get worn down last week in that physical matchup against uh, the Steelers there. But bad news on the front there, and I'm pissed about this, to be completely honest with you. They suspend Derwin James for egregious hits, accumulating egregious hits. I don't think it was that egregious. He wasn't a defenseless player. He had caught the ball and taken at least 3 or 4 steps before getting tackled. And it's like they're just trying to make an example of him. I've seen lots and lots of hits every week, and this guy's being targeted now basically as like some kind of bad guy, and he's really not bad. He's just a physical player. He's got to do a better job. I'm not going
Yeah.
to say that he can't improve his game, but this pisses me off that he's not playing in this week's game.
Yeah, this is more kind of the body of work than actually what happened in that game,
Sure.
So it feels a little punitive there. They could have maybe just fined him or whatever, but
Yeah.
and then these Chiefs, man, just doing enough to get through. It wasn't super sexy against those Falcons, but they found a way to win. Rashi Rice is definitely I don't think he's an emerging star. I think he's a
Yes.
star in this
Speaking of
league.
people who maybe put people in danger, right, but
Yeah.
are still playing,
Yeah.
he
So
is good though, isn't he?
he is really good, and they're still working it out. Whoever's going to take the place of Pacheco there,
Yeah.
Steele and Samaje both got some carries there, but they can mold their attack to whatever they need it to be.
And
And
they brought in
Chiefs,
Kareem Hunt.
yeah, Chiefs still doing it without getting hardly any production out of Travis Kelsey. So you better watch out.
Yeah, that's right. And Kareem Hunt, another good guy though. Bring him
Oh
on
yeah,
in.
yeah.
All right, move it to Sunday Night Football. Go Chargers. Moving it to Sunday Night Football, though, we have an awesome football game because it is the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are at home, favored by 2. And wow, this is an AFC, battle at this point. Boom, this is going to be good.
Yeah, dude. And right now, if the Super Bowl were in 2 weeks, I would say these Buffalo Bills are headed that way. Josh Allen's taking his game to another level, and he said he wasn't taking a shot at Diggs. And I don't know but they moved him to have one voice running the shit over there, and it is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Everybody else loves this guy. Everybody else is bought in. Diggs could never get there. It was still like a poor situation there.
Yep.
So they said, okay, the Bills are Josh Allen's team. They've got great energy right now. James Cook, dude, is looking sweet too.
Woo.
Coleman got his first touchdown. Dalton Kincaid coming back from being a little banged up. So it is firing on all cylinders for these Bills right now. It's early. We're only a month in. Can they ride this? Can they build on this? Because to me, this is the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and to follow up on your point, Case, addition by subtraction. Diggs, as talented as he is, to get his bad attitude basically out of there and let Josh Allen be the man that everybody looks to. And if he throws it to you 5 times or no times, you're thrilled
Yeah.
because he's going to take that team on his back if he needs to and will it to win. Moving to the Ravens, though, way out in front of the Cowboys last week, dominating, and yet they do what the Ravens have been doing for the last year and a half or whatever. They let the other team back in. They barely hold on to a 28-25 win in a game where they were way out in front, right? It was a huge win, though, because it was their first win of the season, avoiding an 0-3 start. Lamar, efficient, 12 of 15, not that many throws, and a TD, added another 87
Yeah.
yards on the
Why
ground.
would you throw in that game against the
Right.
Cowboys,
They
though,
were
Dave?
running amok. King Henry got it going big time for 25 carries, 151 yards, and 2 scores. It seemed like they basically said, "Well, I guess we're done halfway through the third quarter or something." And you know, the Cowboys were, "Hey, we're still alive here. We'll take it, man." But um, you know, they have got to get themselves ready for 60 minutes of
Yeah.
football against this Josh Allen led Bills squad. If they're gonna somehow derail the way that the Bills are playing right now, like you said, the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and the Ravens, we're really just a couple of minutes away from being undefeated going into this game. The toe in Kansas City, they still would have had to go for 2,
Correct.
and then blowing a double-digit fourth quarter lead against the Raiders. So, but this has been their MO. Let's see what
Yeah.
happens there. I don't think they're going to be double-digit lead up on these Bills in the fourth quarter of this game, though. So we'll
Right.
see, but
It
I
is a
don't think
game
so.
of inches, but yeah, they're not going to have a huge lead to squander in this one.
All right, Dave, and another stupid ass staggered Monday night. It was such good. Both those games. Well, I guess the second game was much better
Yeah.
last week, but it was not a problem turning off the Jags and the Bills last week. So this kind of feeling like this might be the same thing because it's the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins, and this one is a pick 'em.
Yeah. Wow. The Titans and second-year quarterback Will Levis have been so mistake prone that they've basically served up all 3 of their games with catastrophic plays that they simply cannot afford to make.
What did the coach say about the Week 1 game against the Bears?
What did
Like,
he
had we just punted on first
Oh,
down,
yeah,
we would have
that's
won
right.
that
If we'd
game.
have punted on first down on every offensive possession, we'd have won the game. That is what he said. I forgot that. That was absolutely hilarious and actually true
Yeah.
if you went back and reviewed the film.
Ugh.
Okay. They handed that game away. Heading into Miami team here, though, that is also struggling, might be exactly what this Titans team needs. Now, the Dolphins were destroyed last week by the Seahawks. They really had no chance in that game, losing Tua in week 2 to the concussion. Now they lose Skylar Thompson to the rib injury. If healthy, Thompson will be the guy, I guess. But if he can't go, then the Dolphins are down to either Tim Boyle or Tyler Huntley. We
Give
mentioned
me
before.
Huntley. I don't need to
Yeah,
see Skylar Thompson
right.
in this
Huntley can
game.
move around and make some
Mhm.
stuff happen. There's plenty of talent on that team. They just need competent quarterback play to put them in this football game. And at home, they have every right to believe that they can get force up those mistakes from Will Levis and take advantage of them with all their skill position players
Yeah, just disappointment city for these Dolphins so far.
so
So
far.
I don't know how this game got on Monday night, to be honest, but
Yeah. All
whatever.
right,
We're here.
Casey. There is yet another Monday night game in case that one does fizzle right out. And this one looks like it's a doozy, right? It is the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. And yeah, wow. Lions at home favored by 4, but woo, some good football being played between these two squads.
I'm your new coach, and we're 3-0. We're going the road, dude. Seattle in that stacked NFC West is sitting there undefeated. Gino did DK last week, just weapon. And then, I go out and I get my JSN on the waiver wire. Oh, Tyler Lockett. He's back,
Tyler Lockett's
baby.
still alive.
Yeah. Um, and I hope for my other fantasy greediness that we do get Kenneth Walker back, but Charbonnet has been great in his absence.
Yeah.
So no need to rush him back other than this is a huge game. This will definitely have playoff implications. Would love to keep going, keep this thing undefeated. If you can get through the first month of the season 4-0, nothing would be sweeter for these Seahawks playing great football on both sides of the football. it'll be interesting to see what happens on Monday night, because Dave, the Lions are wearing those all blacks on Monday
Oh,
night, and they are freaking
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're uniform nerds. Who cares? Fight me.
right. Exactly. Man, those are some righteous
Woo.
uniforms. So too bad the Seahawks aren't going throwback for us, but
Oh, that would be sexy.
right. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic football game, no doubt about it. Uh, Lions have been, uh, you know, uh, kicking some butt this year, but a surprise 3-0 Seahawks team. So this one's going to be a sweet treat for the people.
Yeah, it is going to be good stuff.
All right.
All right, that is week 4 in the book. Want to remind everybody, subscribe to the Trend Zone. That is the podcast you're listening to right now. Available Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon Music.
Yeah, why not go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel too? It's a pretty good idea. How about like us on Instagram and Facebook? Follow us on Twitter, also known as X, at Football Dudes LA, and tag us across all social media platforms, please.
Yeah, and while you're out there surfing on the interwebs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. He's Dave. I'm Casey. Enjoy week 4.